This is Afroeconomics with JB Bryan. Afroeconomics is a strategic financial management program designed for the advancement of Black wealth in America and abroad.
Welcome to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio and live around the world on WOLDCnews.com.
And thanks for joining us, folks. We'll hopefully you enjoyed your weekend. Financial advisor JB Bryan is here. JB, welcome back to WOL Radio.
It's good to be back, Carl. Yes, I love the topic today. We're talking about the unemployment numbers. Some glaring mistakes were made last week, and it looks like there was a misleading error in the May jobs report. And the government has admitted...
Break it down for us, because it came out Friday morning. So for those, because a lot of people don't pay attention to this kind of stuff, but I know that you do. So break it down for us.
It's really difficult to say that they could really make this type of error, but the labor statistics, the Bureau, it's called the Bureau of Labor Statistics. They're saying that they made a misclassification error, and they made the unemployment look about 3% better than it actually is. So it was, they said 13% is the rate for unemployment, but they left out over 3% of the people that are unemployed. And I don't know, that's a stretch. I've seen a lot of interviews.
Let me ask you this. Do you think that was deliberate or by mistake?
I mean, and that's the big question. And I was listening to an interview this morning, and the lady that the media was asking, and she said, "Oh, these are very professional people, and they don't get the numbers until the last minute, and there's no reason for them to provide misleading numbers." And I was like, that is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard. There's a lot of reasons for the public to be misled. And it's not just this month, but they're saying that they've been doing it for the last couple of months, that they've been leaving out a chunk of the unemployed. So I think that there's a large chance that this was not really a mistake. I think that if you can come out at first with the majority of people waiting for your information, and then the majority of the people get misleading information, then you've accomplished a lot. And even when you come out, and I remember my father saying this years ago, that when they print the correction, very few people see it. But when they print the error, everybody knows. Like when you're arrested, when someone's arrested, you get all of the media's attention. But when they're found innocent, almost no cameras are there. So we have to deal with the reality that there are some things that are being done incorrectly. And in that case, I mean, I saw just on a Forbes article that came out about 2 hours ago saying that the unemployment numbers could be more like 20%. And you're going to start seeing those things. But, Carl, the reality is that the market doesn't seem to care. The stock market is still moving forward, even though there are a lot of people, especially in the Black community, who are out of work and may never be able to go back to that same job. That job may be out of here.
It's interesting that you say that, because they say that the jobs, especially in San Francisco, in the Bay Area, a lot of those jobs have disappeared. And what has happened, those folks have been working from home. And because of that now, the rent in the Bay Area has dropped because so many apartments are available, because they've figured out it's a lot easier to work from home. So that's another way this whole virus is changing the landscape, the economic landscape.
But I think it's interesting that last year we were talking about together, we were discussing the tax law changes. Well, it's interesting that millions of people are now working from home, but they don't get the tax deduction because that's gone with the change, with your business expenses that are generated by helping your employer are no longer deductible as of the tax change for 2018, at the end of 2018, I guess it was. So now you have all of these expenses that you are incurring in your home, and unless you own a business, you're not going to be able to write off that space that you're using in your home but your employer should be reimbursing you for that, because you don't. And I haven't really seen any Congress people addressing that issue. At the beginning, I saw that these are a couple of the things that may be changed because of the COVID situation, but I haven't seen any more discussion of it other than seeing a recent report that most likely there's not going to be another stimulus check because of everyone going back to work. All of these phases moving forward like this.
All right, let's go back to the numbers, though. Obviously, Wall Street shrugged off the numbers, or they applauded the numbers. Wall Street was going like crazy, but the numbers for us were disappointing. Black unemployment went up.
Yes.
45 was talking a lot of mess in front of the cameras, how great he was, and even mentioning the name of George Floyd, all that kind of stuff. But most of our people don't even go deep into the numbers, but you did. So what does this suggest to you, that Wall Street reacted positively while black unemployment was going up?
Well, it also tells us that Wall Street does not rely on black wealth in order to move forward. That they realize that in reality, companies could be cutting out people unfortunately, we dominate more of the lower paying jobs. So these type of situations, economic weakness hurts us the most, but companies learn through economic tightening to be more profitable. So their stock prices will continue to move forward if they're learning to function without the expenses, without the labor, how to use technology instead of people, and how many people can they replace with machines. The stock price is basically saying, good job, look how well you've done in spite of not having your people at work and not having the labor force that you did? Or can you continue to work this efficiently and not bring those people back? Because labor force means benefits. It means a lot of expenses to the company. And that's what Wall Street rewards companies for, having less expenses.
So basically you're saying they discount the black wealth then?
It's not even in the consideration. And we, as the black community, a small number of black people actually participate in the stock market. So most of our wealth, which we learned from the Great Recession, that in 2008, 2009, that we rely more on residential real estate. That's why black wealth has not recovered as much. The more the people and communities that participate more in the stock market have been able to regain and advance past 2008, 2009. There's homeowners now who are still black homeowners in black communities that are still upside down. So residential real estate has not been the answer for our community and our wealth, and we're not participating in the stock market because of, I guess, just not understanding or not having enough of people like me in Afroeconomics that are constantly educating us while regulated, because we get a lot of garbage, but not from actual regulated people. I mean, Carl, you are the only radio show that I'm on. Who are most people talking to? They're talking to people who are not regulated, don't have any license, so what happens, our community listens to these people and end up typically losing money and getting afraid of the stock market and never going in under the right circumstances, and often not even taking advantage of the opportunities at their job with the employer plans because of being hurt. I've seen people come to our community and do workshops and convince people that look like me that they should not participate in a work retirement plan because they will have to pay taxes later on. And we're doing it. So we need to gravitate more to people like you who are bringing valid information and valid people who are required to bring the truth. When you're so.
Let's try and help some folks out.
That's right,
JB, because we heard that some of these businesses that are reopening their stores, whatever business they have, that they're trying to attract new customers by offering discounts. Have you read or seen anything like that?
Well, I've seen it the entire time that we have been going through this, especially upon the time when the checks were first coming out, the stimulus checks. So there's no way that you're going to think that they will stop trying to get, and, small ticket items, and then the zero interest and getting things with particular payments or no payments for 6 months. Like, those are designed to harm the person who is not participating in the stock market but will buy anything, who is not thinking about long-term investing or investment opportunities. So, yes, all of the internet, e-commerce opportunities for us to actually create businesses and sell things, we're actually instead being the consumers and buying these things with free shipping and coupons that are coming through your emails and using your entire stimulus check and the extra $600 from the unemployment instead of saving it. Unfortunately, too many of us are spending it.
I want to go back to that a little bit because you said the possibility now of a second stimulus check looks kind of shaky because of the so-called improvement in the unemployment rate that came out on Friday.
Yes.
But even if that unemployment rate was incorrect, and I'll let you answer this after the short break. Does that still mean that there's a possibility there won't be another stimulus check? I'll let you tell us about that on the other side of the short break, right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
I'm JB Bryan, the creator of Afroeconomics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. Afroeconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out Afroeconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly Afroeconomics podcast. There are many levels of Afroeconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out Afroeconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. #Afroeconomics.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
And thanks for rolling with us, folks. Our guest is JB Bryan. She's a financial advisor. Number to call to speak to JB is 800-450-7876. Before we left for the break, we were talking about the unemployment figures that came out on Friday, and the president was crowing about these numbers and saying they look good. The economy's coming back. It's this V-shaped economy. But it turned out they're erroneous. And even if they were erroneous, the black unemployment rate was still higher. So the question that I'm asking JB, because of the figures were, I guess, corrupted, if you will, does that still mean that the second stimulus check is off the table?
Oh, it's definitely off the table. Don't depend on that. And even if I'm wrong and you do get it, you still win. But do not expect that stimulus check to come to you, and do not expect that extra $600 to go past the July 15th date. Don't expect anything else from the system, because that is why you'll notice that the municipalities are encouraging all of the businesses to come back and bring back their people. But the actual municipalities themselves and the state employees are still working from home. So there is a movement to generate revenue for them. How do they make money? They make money from selling in the restaurant, from you coming in, and the taxes and that are charged when you go to the restaurants and when you do these things and when you start driving again, and the gas that you purchase, and the tax on the gas and all of the things that you're spending on. They need that to help them make their money back. But at the same time, they're able to protect their people. But in many ways, but you going back means you're going to be exposed to additional risk, but also you've got to get off their payroll, meaning unemployment. You're no longer going to be their responsibility. You become the employer's responsibility again. And the people that are being asked to come back are not us. The unemployment numbers are going up for the black community. So we have to accept the reality that many of us may not get that job offer back. We may not be able to go back to that same position. So, Carl, I don't want us to expect anything else going forward and to start preparing accordingly. Save every dime that you can. Save all of your money. Save anything extra. Talk to the people that you owe. If you're unemployed and you know that if they stop that federal money on July 15th and your job has not started back, that you're not going to be able to pay your bills, communicate that to them now, because if you have to plan to consolidate and move in with family members, you need to make those decisions now. The better, the more prepared you are to not depend on anything else from the government, the better off that you will be. And this is real. Our numbers are going up.
Right. Let me ask you this, though, because you know what's going on in the country with what happened in Minneapolis. And it seems like some people have a conscience, some don't. We see all the demonstrations that are taking place all around the world.
Yes.
I think at some point now, some white folks will be more benevolent, if you will, if I use that word, towards us when it comes to hiring or promotions. Do you think that will happen, or is this just a mirage, as they say?
Yeah. See, it's different when you teach a man to fish than when you give him a fish. So there's going to be a lot of fish that are going to be passed out. You see that? I think they said the George Floyd family got like $13 million into the GoFundMe. You know, there's going to be a lot of that. And Black Lives Matter got a lot of money. But how does that help the bulk of us continue to eat and pay our bills? You know, how does that change police brutality, at all? So what we have to, accept is that we need opportunities. And we're going to have to create them ourselves. We have to start looking at ourselves as entrepreneurs. How can I take care of myself? How can I generate income for my family? What do I need to do today to position myself as a person who solves problems? And what problem can I solve so that I can make income from that skill that I have? And most importantly, know that you're going to need to be flexible. You're going to need to learn how to sacrifice. You're going to have to learn how to use the relationships that you have developed over the years and start calling out for some favors and start talking to people about what you do and what you're going to do. And see, this is a skill set that, because if you've been working for someone all of your life, that you have not had to use. You have not, because we become programmed. That's why I don't want us to depend on a stimulus check, because the more you work, the more you have that EE, the longer you're the employee and not the employer. The employee develops a mindset of, my God is this employer, that I'm depending totally on this employer. And if this employer doesn't take me back, what am I going to do? But when you get the employer mindset, you start being creative. You start, saying that that nobody's going to hand me this opportunity. So I'm going to go out there and find my opportunities. I'm going to start thinking about what I can do right now while I'm on unemployment to build a business for myself. And you can build a business while you're on unemployment. When you start making money in the business is when you come off of unemployment. But while you're building the business, unemployment is the perfect time. Think of it as a loan that you don't have to pay back, that you're getting. Because most of us, when we started our businesses, there was nobody giving you any money to sustain yourself while you start your business. So this is a great opportunity,
Well,
Carl.
let me jump in here for a second, JB.
Mm-hmm.
I know we'd love to see our folks start their own businesses, and the people think scratching their head and say, "Yeah, I'd love to do that, man. That's a great idea."
Oh,
But I have no idea what kind of business I need to get into.
That's
so,
right.
Can you help us out?
You have to get into something that you know how to do. Don't take for granted what you do. I'm doing a television interview this morning, and I was talking about sometimes when you are working in a factory, you think all you know how to do is what you're doing in the factory. But actually, you know safety on a level that most businesses don't know. So all of a sudden, you can take your major factory experience and turn yourself into a safety specialist because you were the supervisor for your line and you made sure that you didn't didn't have any losses, and nobody was hurt within the last 2 years on your line because of how safety. But we have to change how we look at what we do. We don't really appreciate, we're not valuing our experiences enough. And that's why we think that we always have to ask for a job. But what we need to be looking for are contracts, problems that need to be solved. There's so many opportunities that businesses, especially small businesses, need problem solvers. They may not need to hire you all the time. They may not need you as an employee, but they need you to take care of this particular project. And you can manage a project well. If you know how to pave a parking lot, that's a project manager, because you know how to get the paving of the parking lot done and done properly. People make a lot of money planning out the paving of parking lots, and when the cars are going to go in this section and what side you're going to do over here but we take those skills for granted. So whatever it is that you do, Carl, even teachers are losing their jobs. There's people at hospitals, teachers I saw on the list. A lot of government people are not going to have jobs to go back to. So you have to look at yourself as a teacher. What about if you started your own tutoring company? There are kids that are, even if you're a teacher and you're going back in September, think about the kind of money that you can make over this summer in bringing our kids to preparing them. I would set up my own online preparation for fall 2020 tutoring service. And I would teach English in the morning for elementary and then math in the afternoon for elementary age. And if you start with one kid's going to tell another kid. The next thing you know, you're not even going to need that teaching job anymore. You're going to make more than that. So take your skill, your gifts that you have, and package them so that you don't have to ever worry about being unemployed again. You will be the employer.
And you can use Zoom as your classroom as well for
That's
all your
right.
students.
That's exactly right. Let technology.
I can see that now.
Yes. Yeah. Have your little squares and they'll love it and they'll meet each other. I don't know if I told you, but I did a teen academy, a free teen academy teaching teenagers about financial management for the last 7 Tuesdays. I think we finished up a couple Tuesdays ago. And the participation had over 130 students. It's amazing.
Wow.
Yes. And it was free.
That's good news, though.
It was free, but you don't have to do it for free. That was something that I wanted to do for the community. But if you need income, I could have easily made a lot of money on that.
But what I'm saying was great because we don't have those opportunities.
That's
when we were growing up, there was, nobody talked to us about financing. They don't teach you how to write a check and all that kind of stuff. You learn that later on, or your parents teach you, but they never taught that in school. But anyway, I got a tweet question for you from JR, kind of a question that I sort of asked before. He said, could a sudden want to listen by many of these large corporations now offer high-end job opportunities for black folks?
Could this experience start opening up opportunities for us? I don't see how that could happen unless we get our people in Congress to create some sort of program like we had in the 60s and 70s to equalize and create diversity in corporate America. I have clients right now that are millionaires because they were given opportunities that were legislated, that the companies back then had to have a certain amount of minorities in the office place. And now...
Hold that thought right there, JB. We got to take a short break. I'll let you finish that story on the other side. Folks, you want to join us, reach out to us. Our number is toll-free. It's also worldwide. It's 800-450-7876. Speak to JB after the short break right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. Our guest is JB Bryan. She's a financial advisor, Afroeconomics. That's the name of her company. Trying to help some folks make some money these days. 800-450-7876. You got a question about money or revenue streams, this is the lady you need to speak with. So, JB, I'm going to let you finish your story.
I was like, I don't want to really suggest to anyone that it's going to be easy to start a business, because it really is not. But if there ever was a time or were a time that it helped to start a business, it would be right now. Like if you've ever thought about, I always wanted to have my own business, and then you lose your job due to COVID, it's just a unique opportunity if you're getting unemployment. And it is enough to sustain you right now. That is more than most entrepreneurs that I know ever got. Like the day I started my business, I went from having income working at an investment firm, Carl, to zero, no income at all. So it's like that you're having an opportunity that you can build, work on your new project. But I know on the flip side, I know it costs a lot to start a business. But try to make sure that you only rely on what you have. Like when I started my business, I just had a computer and a fax machine and clients that I took with me. So I was using my own experience. And I challenge you to do the same. Like sometimes we set ourselves up for failure when we have like this great, idea of what you want, but we make it too grandiose and we make it too hard for us to actually be successful at it. So I guess, Paul, my greatest point, Carl, is to make sure that we just know that it's not going to be easy. And in order to be successful as a business owner and never be unemployed again, it's going to require a lot of sacrifice, a lot.
But what you said, you took clients with you. Isn't that the major issue, to get clients, to get people to, That
is income, right? The opportunity to have them. Yes, that was everything. And they didn't want me to. They did not want me to. And I did it anyway. And they literally could have sued me. They could have come after me and said, you can't go. But how do you look telling this little old lady that I know I brought this lady to your firm, and you're going to try to stop this lady from being with me? And it does happen, though. It literally happens. And then the president of the firm actually wrote me a letter. His wife saw me in the newspaper, and she wrote me a letter and said, just know that you never have to worry about us. Basically be well, be at peace, be successful. And because I guess when I in the paper, I could have smashed them and told about all the discrimination that I went through there. And that and I've seen a lot of people, especially my brothers, that work at investment firms, and they have worked there for 20 years, and they have gone through what I went through, and they have at the end received millions of dollars because they had that history of the discrimination. I could have gotten very rich off them if I had stayed. But instead, I said...
Well, hold that thought right there, then,
yes.
JB. Is that a tip for people who are working now and going through, because we know what discrimination is.
You better fight. And if anything...
a paper trail?
That's right. I mean, keep that paper trail and have that evidence. Like one time this young lady didn't want to answer my phone, and he called. I went to my boss's office and I said, she's not answering my phone. And he looked at me and he said, do you think it's because you're black? I said, I don't know, Walter. His name was Walter. I said, but I just know one thing. My job is to find investors and sell investments. Her job is to answer my phone. And she said that I pointed out that she had made a mistake and it insulted her. I mean, basically like Amy Cooper in Central Park. And then he said to me, well, you apologized to her. And I said, well, what would I apologize to her for? And he said, well, she's intimidated by you because you have a master's degree. This is a true story, Carl. And I said,
the victim is blaming the victim, huh?
Yeah. And so I went back to my desk, and then he rang my desk. Did you apologize yet? See, that's straight harassment. So I go back and I apologize to Amy Cooper for lying, you know what I mean, and not doing her job. And then she says, then he's happy, but I'm making my plan. I'm doing my business plan in my head as they sit there and disrespect me. But I feel, to me, in my opinion, that I did better from a mental health perspective and from my financial well-being to get out. because I will never get those 20 years or 10 years that it hurt, that you have to work there and deal with that nonsense. I feel that we do better making sure that you create an environment that you feel safe in and that allows you to focus on Afroeconomics. Because every time I tried to even set up a partnership with a white firm and I told them I focus on Afroeconomics, they would put it down. They did not tolerate it. You can look me up in the FINRA documents right now, and it will show you a white firm telling me that they did not want to do business with my firm because they did not like the way I advertise. They didn't want to say Afroeconomics and that I draw. I have been put out of a building because they said of the people that I attract. I said, Black old ladies, Black old men. You know, what have I done? Like, what have I done? And he said,
but you know what I mean? That's all the discussion is today. It's systemic racism, which they don't understand.
Yes.
They don't see this racism.
Yes, and we cannot be compensated for that. And then that wasn't even.
Well, let me ask you this: though. Do you think they consciously know when they're intimidated by the name when they say Afroeconomics? They go, okay, Afro.
Yes.
You know, that conjures all kinds of negativity in their mind.
That's right.
And then they see Black folks come in to see you. Do you think it's some latent residual discrimination they have in their brains that they're subconsciously expressing and not really knowing? I'm not trying to make an excuse for them, but I'm just trying to figure them out.
That's right. It is. And they don't realize what they're doing. You know, I have been told by my own, but the saddest part is that some Black people avoid me because I focus on Black people. They see that you must be less than. So they'll go over and get robbed and then come back. You know, and then when they're trying to clean it up, you know what I'm saying? When they're trying to clean it, they go, oh, goodness, you know, I know that I shouldn't have, trusted that. And I didn't know those people. And I did, and I did it, and then I will even go and try to help them get their compensation back, get the money back, to be regrouped from it. And you can't, because the system is built to protect them. I mean, I've had so many people that I've met that they have been robbed through that system. Met one young lady that she went in to update her beneficiary form, just as simple as that, on a life insurance policy. And the guy did a whole different policy on her. And she had no idea. And he generated a whole new income and basically took her from $50 a month of cash value accumulation to only $10 a month of cash value accumulation, but left her at the same payment, and she did not know she had been robbed. I said, oh, my God. And I knew, because I had already tried to deal with the state to help people on that level. And they said, no, well, she signed the form, because we're signing stuff and we're not reading it and we don't understand. Even in that situation where I was telling you where I got put out, I had a lease and they wanted my office because I had the corner with the big glass, and they were being offered. Now, a brother that worked at the bank that said they wanted my space, he just happened upon telling me what was going down. And he said, they told us that if we lease with them, they'll get my boss your office. So they come to me and they put me out on a clause that's in, and I had just renewed a lease, on a clause that says, if you give me 30 days notice and you give me 1 day's rent back, or 1 month's rent back to me, that you can kick me out for any terms, and as long as it benefits them. And I had no idea. It was like way down the lease. You know how you sign a commercial lease, and when I went, then this wasn't even white people. These were Indians. They didn't even hardly speak English. And then when we went to court, the white judge said, why would you do this to this lady? And he said, Ms. Bryan, this is legal what they've done. He said, but you're going to give her her month, because that was the first time I actually stood up for myself. I said, this is too much. And he said, you're going to, because the fact that he said, I don't like the kind of people you bring in here. And then he thought that was a better reason to say than that I'm going to make more money by getting you out. Now, I could have appreciated that, hey, somebody wants it. and I can double my income by getting out. But he thought that it was okay to say because you attract black people. But because what? They've come to this country. They've seen us be discriminated against. And he said, that's okay because they get shot. They get choked out on the street. They get treated any kind of way, especially as a black woman. Like that poem by Harriet Tubman when she talks about ain't I a woman? I get treated like nothing, way too much. That's just like, when you're like, I'm a woman.
JB, hang on a sec. We got to take a short break and check the traffic and weather in the DMV. And Jimmy in Houston wants to talk to you as well. Folks, you want to join this discussion with JB Bryan, reach out to us. 800-450-7876. Those are the numbers. And we'll take your calls after this quick break right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
I'm JB Bryan, the creator of Afroeconomics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. Afroeconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out Afroeconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly Afroeconomics podcast. There are many levels of Afroeconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out Afroeconomics.com today. Powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. #Afroeconomics.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. Our guest is JB Bryan. We're talking about money. She's a financial advisor. Number to call to speak to JB, 800-450-7876. Go out to Jimmy. Jimmy's waiting for us. He's on line one. He's calling from Houston. Jimmy, you're on with JB.
Hey, how you doing, Carl? How you doing, JB Bryan?
How you doing? Good to hear from you.
All right. Yeah, I was the guy that called. You know me. I was the one that called about the TSP.
Okay. We did talk. Yeah, good to hear your voice. All right.
Yeah. But my question here is, I was just listening to you, and I would just add on to what you were saying about the thinking. Do you think what the jobs that we should be looking for is, like, say, the critical thinking job? Because we are the original, just like Cardi said, we are the original computers. Because
that's right.
Could it be that the that the super nano robots going to be actually taking over to where we better save while we can, because retirement is going to be a thing of the past. We're going to be kind of like in the spot of, like, our dogs is our pets.
That's right.
And how they look up to us. We'll be looking up to the computers to we better retire while we can. And should we be investing in, like, the super nano chips and all that stuff? And like you're saying, be getting jobs where you're going to critically think and direct the robots on what to do, because they'll be able to outdo us 1 to 100.
And I think that the underlying tone of what we see is it has to be mental for us. Like, if you see, like, the increase of, like, intoxication and inebriation and the drug use, the need for escape for our community, that it has to be ended so that we can be the computers that we are. Like, I know that we came to this country with clear minds, that are at our best state, we can make the best decisions in the world and build the biggest companies. We could do things that we never even imagined. But I think that is because we've picked up habits that are not good for us. I mean, even if I know that you have people, I'm sure that they will tell you, just from a nutritional perspective, we could be eating, we're definitely drinking and consuming, and using things that aren't helping us move forward from a wealth perspective, that it's costing us a lot. Just our personal bad habits are costing our money. And I don't even know if we're going to live long enough to be able, like, we're, with the way the numbers look is that the overwhelming majority of people that are going to be on disability are going to be people that look like us. And that's because of what? A lot of it just because of some really bad choices, and because of, horrific experiences that we're going through that, everybody can't survive. I mean, just from a mental health perspective, I think that it is hard for them to think that reparations aren't deserved, in a community that at least an affirmative action movement out of this that will help create the job opportunities that will give us hope again, that will build up our communities again.
And I want to add on too. Do you think that this is a setup right now with all this the funding of the police department and eventually demolish it? Some jobs require using your emotions and your inner spiritual being to your intuition. So you remember, Carl, when you had Mark from Anaheim on, and he was kind of laughing at me when I was telling you about super robots to be taking over one day. Could this be like the setup that the robots, that they kind of set it up to where the super robots will be taking over, but they won't really have that emotional intuition?
That's right. And and they're already taking over. I mean, in many ways, things that we are going through, we cannot take care of them personally. Like, you can't express, like, when you call in and you tell the computer that you lost your job, they go, press number 1 if you're not going to make your payment this month. That's a super robot, as you're describing, and you press 1. But when you used to talk to a person, they would say, hold on, let me talk to my supervisor and let them know what happened. You see what I'm saying? But no, they're trying to take all of that out so that they're saying in August, everybody better make their payment. You see what I'm saying? So the super robot will say, I don't care. I don't want to talk to you. You better make that payment or we're going to start foreclosure proceeding come September. Boom. You know what I'm saying? And make it sound like a person, but you're just talking to a robot. And you go, well, can I talk to a supervisor? And you're pushing these buttons like people are telling me about trying to get unemployment. There's one lady said her son has been trying for 2 months. Nothing. Because it's just going through little super robots. This little thing, and they don't want to talk to you.
That they collecting all our emotions and stuff off of these social medias and asking us what's on our mind, and that's like the new storage to where they be able to.
That's right. The algorithms.
Right into a chip.
That's right. The algorithms go, if not this. Like a lot of things now, when I go into and it'll say, can you help you? Have you gone to the website? And they go, what can I help you with? And then it's like that, and you put in the question and they go, ... They give you 3 options. Is this what you need? And you go, no. And then they they give you 6 more options. Is that what you need? Well, I don't know, but they never tell you, call Carol at this number. They never are telling us now that you can get to a person at this number. So we need to realize that when they do that, like, it will have the advantage of that they won't be able to discriminate because they won't really know, oh, she sounds like she's black, she's getting on my nerves. You won't have to go through that because they're not talking to you, but you will have to go through that you're just a number and our numbers block us out. If you look at most, unfortunately, black people tend to have bad credit. So that's a number that's going to black you out. If our numbers are going to be off.
About too later on, JB, about the credit, how you can help folks with the credit, because that seems like a starting point or a source starting point for many of us. Jimmy, we thank you for your call, but we're going to move on. Thank you.
Okay.
800-450-7876. Kwame's up next. He's on line 2, calling from South Carolina. Kwame, you're on with JB.
Hello, JB. How are you doing? And hello, Carl.
Great. Thank you.
All right. This is my answer. This is my question, JB. There's a lot of small towns in Georgia and North Carolina are being sold now. So do you think it's good for black men or women or black families to get together and try to get a loan for these towns?
Wow. The town is being sold?
Yes, in Georgia, Tomsboro town is being sold for $1.7 million.
And they have all the land. They're buying all the land, everything in it.
All the land. The only thing is they don't have a school system.
Wow. That is amazing. I have no idea.
Is it just raw land, Kwame, or
Yes.
do they have something manufacturing or anything going on there?
Well, I haven't seen any manufactured car, but they have good property. The closest, they don't have grocery stores that's in walking distance, so you got to have a car. What they're letting us know, everything is stretched out.
Well, I mean, if we buy something like that, we would just have to have a reason that we're buying it. Like if we were getting together because we wanted to put an Amazon manufacturing center in there because there's just burned down or something like that. Like we just have to have, what are we going to do with it? How are we going to make money? Because even though we see like with the Native Americans that just because you're given or you buy this land, it doesn't automatically give you, opportunities for income or wealth. And that's where we have to be, really careful and understanding, okay, now then what? Like we have to have a full plan. Okay, we're doing this and then we have this and we have everything lined up on the purpose behind it. But because of course, whoever they're trying to sell it to, they have a whole, they're going to have a whole community plan. We're going to build homes over here. We're going to do this over here. I mean, I would imagine that really has been happening forever all over the United States. We just don't realize it. Like in my neighborhood, it's named after the builder, the builder's family, and it goes down, the name goes down there, then the name goes down the other side, and this and so that builder just bought this huge section, of this county and then developed it in the way that he chose and put the grocery store and put the gym and put the, all of it, and they just organize it. So I guess when we look at it that way, it's not that rare, and the higher risk of it is that it's in these rural areas. But at the same time, there could be government funding for it, because I saw on a documentary, and it was talking about the hundreds and the millions actually that white farmers are getting for land that they're not even farming, that the Trump administration is giving out money for not farming. And, so you can actually, that could be part of the business plan that, that you're buying the land. and if this is true.
You need a tax base.
Yeah,
you need something that's going to pay the taxes.
Yes, true.
Run the city. That's, if you can get a Walmart or 7-Eleven or some store, a big box store to move in, or even not necessarily a big box store, but even a school or something that pays taxes. If the religious institutions are not going to pay anything, so don't go shopping around for churches and mosques, because you're not going to make any money on that. But again, it's a good idea, Kwame.
Car, can you turn into a green retirement community?
Is it producing money? Is it throwing off cash? That's the deal.
That's right. Or could you a government funded retirement community or something? No, they
And I was thinking about bringing the solar energy companies in, because they have so much land that they can do what they want to.
That's right.
Right now, I'm reading Carl and JB, 472 people in 2010. Now they got 400 people. I looked at property values, 3.8 acres for like $25,000. You get 6 acres for $18,000, and the homes are already there. And I'm thinking about retired Black people.
But if you were doing this, and you were trying to get me, and I was your neighbor, and you said, let's do this, I would want to do it based on something that you knew how to do. If you were new and you didn't know anything and I didn't know anything, it's hard for me to buy in. But if you said, hey, I've been raising chickens for the last 20 years, and I want to put, a whole bunch of chickens, over here, and I'm going to and they're going to be organic, and there's this and that, and I'm going to put fish over here. Like, then I would trust you and I would invest in it because I know that you're skilled at that. But somebody has to have the experience and the skill in order to increase the confidence, because sometimes you'll say something like this and you'll go, I can't believe these people are crazy. Don't see the good. Well, no, it's not that it's not a good idea. It's just that they need to have more to go on. So
all right, hold that thought right there. Kwame, if you have a follow-up, stay with us. We're going to take a short break. We'll come back right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Welcome to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio and live around the world on WOLDCnews.com.
And thanks for staying with us, folks. Our guest is JB Bryan. JB is a financial advisor, Afroeconomics. Before we left, though, we were speaking with Kwame in South Carolina. So, JB, I'm going to let you finish your conversation with Kwame.
It's interesting that, Kwame, I don't know if you've heard, but I have a member of Afroeconomics that was texting into me, Twyla, and she was saying that there's actually 11 towns for sale in America. Isn't that something, Carl? That's and that's,
wow.
she has
11
been
towns.
She's been working.
11 towns.
I have to get y'all connected.
What I want you guys, I'm sorry, what I want you guys to know, they wrote there was an article about 3 months ago or maybe 6 months ago. The older Caucasian people are dying off, and the younger Caucasian kids are moving away. So South Carolina and North Carolina are going to have towns that's available to be sold. So that's
entire town.
That's the entire town car. They start out with like 1,000, and then right now, 2020, it's down to 500. Because the kids are leaving, but the older people are dying off.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing.
And Kwame, I thank you for that story. But JB, that's something that we need to really talk about as far as housing is concerned, because that's what's happening too in our community.
Yes. Oh, definitely. And then or who's inheriting the property, and are they keeping it up when they inherit it, or can they afford it when they inherit it? Because a lot of our seniors have homes that they're saving to give to children that already have another home and aren't taking care of the home, and they turn it into a rental property and they don't take care of it and they lose it through foreclosure. And so we definitely need to talk about generational wealth in general. But also, Carl, what that topic was, as Twyla reminded me of this too. I was talking about when I forgot my story. I was talking about where when you were saying, like, could this situation that we're in with more empathy for racism, could this help us on a financial level in some way? And then I was saying that I have clients now who benefited all their career on a corporate environment that was encouraged to do affirmative action. And it would be interesting to do a study, and I might do this, on how did affirmative action impact the movement away from it. Because I was saying that I feel that we need to have public change, like we need to have our government actually encourage the corporate community to have affirmative action back in the workplace so that we can get rid of this growing wage gap. Like, they're not making the connection between being hopeless, being arrested, and then the wealth decline. And all of these things being connected, that someone in the Black community is more likely to have to try to make a living off less than minimum wage in many times. And minimum wage is outrageous. You can't even live off. If you work 40 hours on minimum wage, you can't live off it. It is below the living wage. So with that in place, that's what we need to be discussing. That you would not find the problems in our community if you had a commitment to livable wage and to introducing opportunities in corporate opportunities and small business opportunities if they were pushed. Like, there's nothing to really help a Black business succeed now, because a Black business is seen as just one of 100 different types of minorities, because the word minority has become so diverse that it's left us out. So that if Black lives really matter, then we need to say that Black wealth really matters and Black living really matters. that we have to help us make a living, so that if they could do all the protesting you want, and this could continue, and everybody can make great little speeches and say that, oh, we really care and we see the systematic racism. Well, if that is true and you're accepting that there's systematic racism, what are you going to do to adjust all of the careers that have been lost, all of the homes that have been broken, that all of the children that have been taken, to what are you going to do that you're in a position to accept that systematic racism exists, but yet there's no answer? We have to have that next step, and it's not a GoFundMe. It is actual action.
Let me interrupt you here, because you're absolutely right. That's the next. That's going to be the next step, if they're willing to do the next step. And this is where we'll find out if they're for real.
That's right.
I mean, they can talk about they're being upset and systematic racism.
Yes.
Okay, we recognize it, but they understand that along with systematic racism comes white privilege,
yes.
and that gives them the advantage. And do they want to give up that advantage? If somebody asks you, ask a white person, would they trade a place with a black person? You know what the answer is already. So the question is, would they do that? As Dr. Anderson always teaches us, somebody's got to win and somebody's got to lose. They want to win all the time.
That's right. I mean, what if I were Amy Cooper in Central Park, and I told this white man that went to Harvard, that was watching birds, that I'm not going to leash my dog, and that I'm going to call the police, and I'm going to tell them that this white man is threatening my life, and then the police come because the white guy posts a picture. He's going to come and find me. And I'd be in jail today. And that is the reality of the thought that we have to think about, that both of us, not just that black man, but that black woman, oh my goodness, the abuse, the emotional abuse that we go through on a daily basis is ridiculous. I can't. It's hard to even explain, because nobody actually accepts that. And I was telling a group of white people at a council meeting, at my daughter's school, and I said that when I was going to school, if people didn't like someone, they would just punch them in the face. They fight it out, and it'd be over. But what you all do is you try to kill someone from the inside, and you just drain them, and you make them question themselves, and they're never good enough, and they're never told what's going on, and they're never invited to what really matters, and they're never, that is worse than just punch me out. Why do you have, so this has been going on for generations of mental and physical. And the only way to compensate for that, like I said, what if I'd stayed in corporate America? I don't think that I would I'd be able to even communicate. I'd probably be on some sort of drugs, just some sort of, antidepressants or something, trying to deal with that type of environment just because you're trying to make a living and you're the only black in the room. So you have to constantly be harassed.
Yeah.
That's it.
At some point, it's like a game. It's like a sport. But I got two tweets for you. One tweeter wants to know if the stimulus money, now that they claim the economy has rebounded, will we have to give them money back? Can they change their and say now we have to give it back next year?
Never. You can't. You don't have to do that. But you can depend on there's going to be a way. Some way you're going to have to compensate for that. I think it's amazing though that churches. People that work for churches typically don't qualify for unemployment, but people who have not actually paid into the system, like churches, are actually being able to get the payroll protection loans, and their employees are getting the unemployment from the federal government. And I'm wondering, how are we going to make sure that that's paid back? Because there's not, all of us who work, you pay into unemployment insurance. Your employer has to cover it. That's why employers don't like you to file for unemployment, because their rate is going to be increased. So their payroll is going to be more expensive because all these people file for unemployment. So the state will will get that back for paying out the unemployment. But I'm just wondering, what about people, about institutions that have never paid into it? They're getting it. So how will they get it back from us?
Is there a time limit on applying for unemployment? Because you hear these horror stories of people on the phone with them for hours only to get a busy signal, or trying to get online and they can't. They try 2:00 in the morning, they still can't get through. So is there a time limit if they don't apply for it? If they don't get in for the next couple of months, can they still claim their money?
Definitely. Yes, they just can go back to the last day that you got income from that job. But what we need to realize is that you have to qualify for at least $1 of regular unemployment in order to get the $600 bonus from the federal government. So a lot of people, unfortunately, they quit their job or they were already out of work and they're trying to figure out, how do I want that $600. I'm out of work. Well, that doesn't qualify you. Or you had 2 jobs and you lost one of your jobs, and that doesn't qualify you. They're turning down a lot of people who your main job is more than what the unemployment would be. Even though you were depending on both income, they're getting their heart broken because they're not qualifying for that second job being replaced by unemployment. So sometimes you're not getting through, or you're not getting called back, or they're not writing you back. It's because there's some little fine print that you don't qualify for. Or one lady last week, she didn't realize that.
That's right. Hang on a second, JB. We got to take another short break here. I'll let you tell a story, and I got a tweet question for you as well. Folks, you want to join this discussion with JB Bryan? Reach out to us at 800-450-7876. Your call's next on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
Back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. I guess it's JB Bryan, JB with Afroeconomics. We're talking about money, how to make money, how to keep money, how to find money. This is the lady you need to speak with. JB, you were about to tell us a story right before we left for that short break.
Well, I'm going to say that we definitely, I have so much information about those buying those towns and stuff like that. Like Twyla is saying that you have to have 250,000 before most of them even talk to you. So definitely let's make sure we get more information on that, Carl. We have
all right.
All
right, Kwame, South Carolina, just send us that information, so we'll find out more about that. Because we've been having these discussions, JB, about should we stay or go, and some people are saying, the bags are packed, they're fed up with Donald Trump and all this other stuff and the sandals they got to deal with, so they want to go back home, as they put it, and they're on their way. And wow. I think if they find a spot in this country that you can operate and without the interference from other folks, I think that maybe they'll change their mind.
I just think it's impossible for us to do that. I think that we've already tried that, and I think that I was looking at the documentary. It was Tulsa just had like its 50th anniversary. Unfortunately, the burning of Tulsa. Remember that? But it was. Yeah. And I don't understand why they call it the race riots, because that wasn't a race riot. Like, we didn't do anything. They got mad at white people. Got mad at a black man because a white lady lied on him in the elevator, and then they came and a black man stood up for himself, and they burned down the entire town. So you think that we're going to be able to... Now, unfortunately, I just feel that the world is based on a lot of jealousy. And you have jealousy between the races. Like, I feel that people that are white people are jealous of each other. There's some white people that are jealous of black people. Some black people are jealous of black people. So I think if you put yourself into a vulnerable situation of being in this town, and we live in a country that will not even allow you to defend yourself, how do we think, that we could do that? Like, unless we line it up with a fence, and then we have to have armed guards all the way around, and then they'll say that we have a militia. and they'll be like David Koresh, and the government will come, and burn it down and kill all of us. Easily, because they're afraid of any movement that we make. Here I am, a woman trying to have a business in a corner space, and I can't even do that. And you think that we could all do it? And I'm not saying that we should not be afraid, but I'm just saying that we need to we are accepting the fact that we have systematic racism, and we're accepting the fact that you can be laying in your house and the police can come in your house and kill you. And if your husband tries to protect you, he goes to jail. And, look at this Miss Taylor, she's dead, and they still don't know the cop that shot her. So we're not even in a position to completely protect ourselves. We don't even have that legal protection. If I know somebody pulls me over and they pull out a gun and they're wrong, and I pull out a gun to protect myself, they have the right to kill me because I pulled out a gun, even though they're wrong. And they thought I was somebody else and I looked like someone else, but I'm not that person. I have no right to defend myself. So all I'm saying is that there's a lot that has to be changed before we feel that we can take our entire life savings and set up a whole little circle, and then, and you're not going to be bothered, because it's still their government and we're still minorities. And if anything, you could be making yourself even more vulnerable if the system is not designed to protect you.
And it isn't. But
it's not.
Hang on a second. We got some more folks want to talk to you, BJ. 800-450-7876. Gloria's on line 1 calling from Virginia. Gloria, you're on with BJ Bryan. JB Bryan, I'm sorry.
Okay.
No worries. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Hello, JB.
Hi, sweetheart.
All right. Look, just got a quick question. Everything that you were saying concerning small business, I'm like, yes. Okay. I think that's something that we all should think about. I started out with a $49 kit.
There you go.
But the main thing is you was talking about investing and investment. What I always wanted to know, how much, is there a limit that you can start out with, or, a certain amount in an area that you should have?
Well, the first thing that we have to do is an emergency fund. So before you invest anything, I want to know that you have at least 6 months of your expenses available to you in cash. And then we build on that. So we have to have a plan first. I have to have a financial foundation. So your investments are like the roof of your house. But your savings and your protection and your health insurance, your life insurance, and how you protect yourself, how you make income, that's your foundation. So after you have your foundation on solid rock and it's well built and we're moving up, then we get to the fancy stuff like, what do I do with the extra money that I have, because I've got 6 months and I have, this extra $500 a month, or I have, an extra $100 a week. And then I start asking you about, like, where do you work and what are the benefits of plans available at work? And you go, well, no, I own my own business. And I go, well, do you have a retirement account? We can set up an individual retirement account, and then we can put these investments in that individual retirement account. So we build on it. And we create a plan, and it increases your chances of success, because people who don't have the proper savings are less likely to enjoy the returns of the investment market, because when things happen, what do? They have to sell the investment. They can't allow it to come back. They can't allow it to be for the long term, because they have an emergency. So that's part of Afroeconomics, and definitely take advantage of the free membership, because it's, I have a free membership level, and oh, great, beautiful. And then when you're ready, you could step up to the financial planning level. And then, we'll start meeting regularly and talking about your specific plans. And I put you into a financial planning portal, and we can both look at it on the computer, and I see what you put in, and we talk about it. And then I run different scenarios at different ages with different risk levels. And that's the next level.
Okay.
We're going.
Oh, thank you.
So you're that, Gloria.
Wonderful.
I see you.
All
That's
right.
great. I've seen you log in before.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Gloria.
Bye-bye.
JB, you mentioned that you're working with our young people, and I think this is just outstanding. I wish I had somebody like you when I was like in college or starting to go into, just out of high school and telling us about money, how to save money, how to make money. Because back then you think that you're going to live forever, and you never think about, I should start saving money or should you think about buying a house.
Yes.
You think, I didn't even think about buying a house till I got 30. I was like, wait, I've been on this planet for 3 decades.
Yes.
I don't have anything to show for it.
That's right, Carl.
So I got into a panic and bought a house. But I'm saying, had I known earlier, it would have been a lot easier.
That's right.
If somebody had taught us, because they don't teach this stuff in high school.
That's right.
And, unless you take the right courses in college, you're not going to learn this stuff either.
That's right.
So what's your outreach to our young people?
That's right. And thank you for asking that, because my emphasis for that Afroeconomics Teen Academy is to talk about things that they're not going to find out on television. So I talked about the history of the stock market and explained to them that it started with the slave trade. And parents and everything were shocked. They had no idea. I wasn't taught that either when I was in business school, But when I looked deeper and I said, we're going to talk about the history of the stock market. And I said, what? The slave trade? The slave trade. And you're talking about, so then we go on to what's the difference between simple interest and compounding interest, so that you can know that you want to have the simple interest as much as possible, and the difference between that and why credit cards cost you so much money. And then we went into what college do you want to go to? How much does the college cost? Or what type of training do you need to do the career that you want? See, those are the things, when I looked at my daughter's high school financial literacy program, it didn't talk about that. It talked about how much car can you afford? What car do you want? And it's putting them into a payment mentality. I told our young people that you don't need a car payment. I don't want you to have a car payment. I don't want you to have school loans. But if you have a loan, if you go into debt, let it be something for your education, for your empowerment, something that is going to pay off for you for your entire lifetime. So we really looked at, in our last discussion, we talked about teen identity theft. Carl, that is the biggest growing area of identity theft is in kids. And then one of the participants was like, my cousin, her father stole her identity, and I felt really bad, but I really had never thought about it. And when I saw how they reacted to it, I was like, wow, this is real. There's parents who are using children's social securities and getting debt. I found scenarios and I showed them videos of a kid that when they went off to get a job, and they found out that when they were 10 years old, someone had stolen their identity, buying boats and homes and all of this stuff. And so what I say is that you have to, as far as teen identity theft, you have to check their credit around 16 years old. Make sure, or even before, but make sure you check the teenagers' credit and make sure that no one is using their information, because they're doing things and that people are coming into your home.
Right there, because I've heard those stories about Netflix and cable companies. I didn't know they were just outright just ripping off the youngsters like that. But hang on a sec. We're going to take a short break. I'll let you finish that story on the other side, right here on 1450 WOL, where information is power.
I'm JB Bryan, the creator of Afroeconomics, a strategic financial empowerment program based on 10 timeless financial principles like generational wealth and legacy, financial knowledge, credit confidence, entrepreneurship, self-reliance, and more. Afroeconomics gives you the guidance and tools you can use to develop and sustain wealth. Check out Afroeconomics on your favorite social media platforms. You will find us everywhere. Plus, enjoy my weekly Afroeconomics podcast. There are many levels of Afroeconomics membership, including the free online access membership level called No Excuses. So make no excuses and check out Afroeconomics.com today. powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, Incorporated, a registered investment advisory firm. #Afroeconomics.
And now back to the Carl Nelson Show on Washington, D.C.'s 1450 WOL Radio.
Thanks for staying with us, folks. I guess it is JB Bryan, and JB's a financial advisor. JB, I'm going to let you finish your story, and I got a tweet question for you.
And we were just talking about the importance of kids knowing financial literacy and knowing about the teen identity theft being the biggest area of growth for identity theft. And that is sad, as well as elderly. We have to protect our elderly right now. There's a whole bunch of our elderly who are vulnerable to financial fraud because of this COVID situation. Those who they trust are separated from them, and they may have caretakers or other family members who are actually the most likely to hurt them financially. I mean, the majority of financial fraud for seniors is done by a family member. It's really sad.
Wow. Vernon tweeted, says, can you ask JB, is the foreign exchange market safe to invest in?
I would make sure that I took care of all my other investments before I did that. But I would say that foreign exchange market is as safe as you feel it is as an investor. But I wouldn't do it because I don't feel that I've taken full advantage of my current market. So the U.S. market is regulated to protect me as an investor. I don't know how much protection you'll have, at the foreign exchange. If it's not regulated by the Securities Exchange Commission, and then you as an investor don't have the protections that you would if a business didn't fully disclose the information for you to make a valid decision. In the U.S., we are so protected. But when you go into foreign exchanges and start dealing with businesses that are regulated away from us and markets that are regulated away from us, I'm not sure how much protection you have as an investor. But definitely talk with your advisor about that.
All right, we got to run. Before we let you go, how can folks reach you? They want more information, how to make some money, how to get another revenue stream, and what they should do with the money they're making. How do they get to you?
1-844-JB Bryan. That's 1-844-522-7926. Or go to afroeconomics.com or JBBRYAN.com. Afroeconomics, and sign up. I have events coming up this Wednesday, absolutely free, every Wednesday night, and Sunday morning at sunrise. I'm always doing free workshops. In our membership, we have a free level, and we do our members-only meetings on Friday mornings with a timely financial topic. Wednesday night, we're talking about knowing your home state and what is the major business for your home state and how has it changed since you were born. So that's going to be an interesting look. Like, I'm from North Carolina, Carl, and North Carolina, when I was born, it was all about farming and tobacco and Philip Morris and stuff like that. Now the leading company is Bank America. Things change.
Wow.
Things change.
They do. Thanks, JB, and thanks for all the work that you do in our community.
Thank you. Today's podcast was powered by JB Bryan Financial Group, a registered investment advisory firm and the home of Afroeconomics in Virginia, Maryland, Washington, D.C., and New York.